I believe I can fly. Ah! Hello the internet, Viperion here again in my Resonant Rise modded world. I have done a little few bits and pieces off camera. I have installed these fancy lanterns here from Bibliocraft. 3 of them is enough to light up this place. And I've started getting into Pam's Harvestcraft a little. So these are the items you use to make some of the food items. And you can see here I have fish and chips, which is what I'm currently munching on. Fish and chips seems to be one of the only foods in Pam's Harvestcraft that restores more saturation than it does hunger. So a lot of the really big meals in Pam's will give you sort of 6 hunger bars, but only sort of 4 saturation, which is the opposite way around to the way you normally want it. You eat when you're 2 or 3 hunger bars down, and the fish and chips will just about finish off your saturation. I think it gives you full saturation straight from the start. So that's what I am currently eating. Now, in today's episode, we are going to be looking at the mechanism mod. Now, down here, I haven't been showing this on camera, but I have my engine room here. Now, most of this is just for looks. These fans are just chiseled technical blocks, and this is chiseled factory blocks. I've moved my Tinker's smelter to in here, but this is what we're going to be dealing with for most of today. So the first thing I'm going to show you is my power generation system, and that is this little thing here. It's a solar generator, and so that will gather power from the sun. Obviously it doesn't work during the night time, and it transfers the power straight down through here into this basic energy cube. Now the thing about the mechanism mod is that it does interface with every other power mod that you can think of. So it interfaces with AE2, it interfaces with Red Flux, it does all sorts of bits and pieces. I'm going to try and stick to mechanism as much as I can, although you'll see at the end of this video that there is one machine that I'm going to be making which is not from mechanism, because I don't like the way that particular machine of theirs works. But anyway, we go down here to the energy cube, and I've got 4 machines here. I've got a crusher, which does exactly what you think it will do. It takes an ore or an ingot and crushes it into dust. We have the metallurgic infuser, which I'll talk about in a little bit more detail later on. We have their enrichment chamber, which very much like the Tinker's smelter over there, will take an ore. So if I take, say, an aluminium ore here, if I put this into the into the enrichment chamber, it will grind it down, and it will turn it into 2 aluminium dust. There you go. And now you can set this to auto eject items, in which case I've got it auto ejecting into the smelter. It's just a normal smelter, but it takes the aluminium dust and it outputs the aluminium ingots. Now I've got this auto ejecting into this chest as well, so you can see here that we've got tin and silver, and there's the aluminium that we've just made there, and so on and so forth. So those 2 machines are pretty basic to make, but to make them you need this first, the metallurgic infuser. Now this is slightly more complicated. You have power coming in here. I've got the power coming in through the top, and you need 2 inputs depending on what you're making. Now a lot of the stuff that you need for mechanism requires steel, and the way that you make steel is you take an iron ingot and you put the iron ingot into here, and you put coal into here, and you get something called enriched iron coming out of here. Now you put the enriched iron back into here with more coal, and you get a steel ingot, steel dust out, which you can then cook in the smelter to make a steel ingot. But that's not the only thing it's for. You can also put redstone in here, which gives you all sorts of bits and pieces, and I'll show you when I get back up to the house what those are for. So up here in our present chest, we have all the bits that we're going to need for today's project. So have a look at that. There's a few things there that you possibly don't recognize. We'll get through those in a second. And also, after we've made the stuff in here, we're going to need to make this. Now this is the stuff from thermal expansion. This is the machine that we're going to make that isn't from mechanism. And see if you can figure out what that is before the end of the episode. So as I was saying before with the metallurgic infuser, if you throw redstone and iron and you get these things called enriched alloys. Now they look a little bit like circuit boards, and the reason for that is you put these together. This is going to make something which goes in here, and then this is going to make a machine that we need for this. This is the armored version of this. I'm being very technical here, I can tell. But what we are doing today, if I will show you my clipboard, is an armored jetpack and an electrolytic converter to power the armored jetpack. So I've gone ahead and made all the bits and pieces we need. These are just tin ingots. These are steel ingots. As I said before, to make steel it's just copper and an coal and an iron ingot thrown through twice in the metallurgic infuser, and that's where you get steel. We've got a gas tank, which is iron dust surrounded by osmium ingots. We're going to make 2 more gas tanks during the episode, and again I'll show you why in a little bit. So that's the gas tank, and this thing here. So if you have redstone and an osmium ingot, we'll go back to our metallurgic infuser. I'll show you how that works. So you go into here, you'll see that this is currently empty, so I'll throw the redstone into here. You see you've got 10 units of redstone in there. Throw the osmium ingot into here. It uses up the redstone, and it will give you a basic control circuit. So we go back upstairs. I really should bring everything down here because I'm going to spend a lot of time in that room today. But we go into here and we put our basic control circuit in here, and this is all you need for the jetpack. So I will grab this stuff here, go across to our crafting table, and we need gas tank, tin, and tin, the control circuit here, and steel here and here, and we get our jetpack. Now the jetpack is what goes on your chest plate slot, so it goes into here. You can wear that on here, and now if I step outside so we can get a bit of view, that's the jetpack. Pretty cool looking model. Okay, now you'll see from my armor that it doesn't have any armor on it, so that is what these things in here are for. So if I take these out and put them back into here, so we have 2 diamond dust. Now the diamond dust is created in that pulverizer that I was showing you before. You have the block of steel in the middle, 2 Tinker's alloy ingots it turns out, so that zombie we killed in the last episode that gave us that did us a favour actually by dropping those Tinker's ingots. And then the jetpack in here, and we get the armoured jetpack. Now if I put that on, you will see that I am fully armoured. Let's close this. So it is night time. What are you talking about? Come on. There we go. So the steel chest plate that I had before, I still had, I think it was 2.5 free. So if I flick these over, 2. Okay, so you can see here, even this armored jetpack gives me the full armor. So with my mana steel armor and my jetpack, I have completely filled it up, which I'm very happy about. Now the jetpack needs fuel to run, and that's what all this stuff is for. So the first thing we're going to make is the control circuit that goes in the middle of this. So that's 5 enriched alloy. That's the redstone and iron ingot in the infuser, and we've got 2 osmium dust, a gold dust, and an iron dust. So it's not too expensive. But we'll put this back in here. So let's see if I can get this right. The osmium dust, gold dust, iron dust, and then the rest of these like such. And we get the electrolytic core, which goes in the middle of this. So then we've got iron, 2 redstone, and 2 more enriched alloy. Oop, did I just drop it? Looks like I did. Yep. And so we've got iron, redstone, and 2 of those, and that gets us our next mechanism machine, the electrolytic separator. So if I hold down left shift for details, it currently has 0 stored energy, and if I push M here it says a machine that uses the process of electrolysis to split apart a certain gas into 2 different gases. Now when it says a certain gas, it actually means a certain liquid. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this and put this down in my machine room. and then I'm going to run some power to it. So we'll just put that there. That's what that looks like. Just get out a piece of cabling here. The basic universal cable is very easy to make too. It's a couple of pieces of steel and a piece of redstone from memory. That will connect to here, and you'll see that this is now filling up with power. And this is the electrolytic separator. Now this needs water on this side, and it puts out hydrogen here and oxygen here. And I've just realized I'm actually going to have to move this because I need something on each side of it. And this is the hydrogen supply here, and this is the oxygen supply here. Now the backpack runs on hydrogen, so we need to make that. Now the way we need to make that is we need to give it a water source, and the way we're going to do that is using a thermal expansion aqueous accumulator. Now Mechanism does have its own water pump. It requires a power source, and I'm not particularly fond of it, so this is the stuff that we need to make an aqueous accumulator. This is going to be the basic machine frame, which is what we've got in here. It's a 10 gear, 4 iron and 4 glass, so that's pretty simple stuff. We'll put that in there. Nothing particularly complicated about that. So I'll go there, there, and put iron in the rest. And we get our basic machine frame. Not in there, in this one. And then we'll take the bucket, 2 glass, 2 copper gears, and a pneumatic servo. Now the pneumatic servo isn't that difficult to make either. If I just show you what it looks like in here. It's simply a piece of redstone, 2 pieces of glass, and 2 pieces of iron. Nice and simple. I'll put that in here, so the servo goes here, the glass goes there and there, the copper goes there, and the bucket goes there, and we have the aqueous accumulator. Now the good thing about the aqueous accumulator that really pushed it over the edge as far as I was concerned is that it requires no power to do what it does. You just need to sit it in a water source. Now what we're going to do with these two, so we've got 2 steel ingots in a bucket here. I think they actually go like this, and it gives us 8 basic mechanical pipes. Now this is from Mechanism, and this is what they use to pump liquids with. Actually we're going to need that, so we'll put that there, and we'll put that up there. So we'll go down into our basement here, and we'll set up an infinite water source underneath the floor, which we can pump up into. Now I am going to, as I said before, I'm going to want space on either side. So what I might do just for the moment, grab those. This probably isn't going to be where it ends up in the grand scheme of things. We'll grab those, and we'll put the electrolytic separator here, and we'll connect the power to it like that, because I want that space and that space to be used for something. So what we're going to do now is we're going to dig underneath here, and we're going to go here, here, and here. It's going to be our water. So I'll just climb back up here, and that's not going to work, is it? Get that. We'll get our rod of the seas that we made last episode. Move my coffee, and we'll go water in there, which makes that block an infinite water source, but I'm going to make that there anyway. And then we'll put our stone back into here so we don't get the running water noise. We'll get rid of this one. We'll drop the aqueous accumulator into there, and you'll see if we right click on this that it's filling up with water. And now we want our output on top, and we want all the rest blank. Okay, so it's going to output to here. Now if I right click on this, you'll see there's no water in this, but it is full of power. If I put one of these pipes, if I shift right click one of these pipes into here, you'll see it's pumping water up. Oops, that's not what I want to do. And if we click on this, you'll see that this is now gathering water. Now because it has water and it has power, it's making hydrogen and oxygen. Now, and I'll just put all these blocks back in here, so I'll go, oops, that one there, And that's all we need to do. That is now happily working away. Now the thing about the electrolytic separator is when one of these fills up, it simply stops working. Now because water is H2O, you get twice as much hydrogen as you get oxygen. You see it's not using terribly much power either. The power's not actually dropping while it's doing this. So when the hydrogen gets to the top here, the oxygen will stop being created. So one of the ways you can mitigate that, well, there's a couple of ways you can do it. The way I'm going to do it is by using these two things here. So I said I was going to make another couple of tanks. So you just put the osmium around the outside, and you put the steel dust in the middle, and you make those gas tanks. And then if you put one on the hydrogen side, actually just before we do that, if we check on this, you see that that's now full of hydrogen, which means it's not producing any more oxygen. Now what I can do is you can dump the excess. So there's settings here for each side. So this is idle, dumping, so this just dumps the oxygen, dumping excess, so that means that it will, if I dump the excess on here, it's not going up. Not entirely sure how that works. I thought that would go to the top and then dump out the rest. Or you can have it idle, which fills it up, which is how we want it anyway. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a gas tank here, which will collect all the hydrogen, and a gas tank here, which will collect all the oxygen. You see now that they are empty, but this is filling up. Now this holds 2.5 buckets. 2,400 millibuckets of hydrogen. This holds 96 buckets, so it takes a long time to fill, and this is the same. So this isn't going to fill up. My power is essentially infinite because I'm getting it from the sun. My water is infinite because it's coming from the aqueous accumulator. So these are just going to fill up these two tanks, and you can see here it's going to take a really long time. Now to charge the jetpack, all you need to do is right click on this, put it into the plus, yep, and that will pull out of the tank. See the tank is actually going down, and it will start filling up the jetpack. So the jetpack can hold, I'm not sure how much the jetpack can hold actually. We'll find out when it gets full. But you can see here that it has drained the tank already, and it's just pulling stuff straight out of the electrolytic separator straight into the jetpack. So I'm going to let that charge up, and we're going to do something with the oxygen eventually. But until then we'll just leave things as they are. I can still get to my metallurgic infuser and my crusher without too much issue, although this probably won't be where they end up being. But for the meantime we will leave that ticking along. We'll put our steel chest plate back on, and I'll be back when that is finished. Okay, we're back. It's not fully charged, but I couldn't wait any longer. And so this is how this works. You can see in the bottom left, you can see the mode of the jetpack. I've moved my armor readouts to the left hand side, right hand side there, so you can see those. So we have 15,000 hydrogen, and it's currently in disabled mode, so it's like I'm just doing all the normal things that I could normally do. If I push the jetpack button, it goes into regular mode. In regular mode, if I hold down space, I go up. If I let go of space, I go down. Nice and simple. So basically, you can do that. You will still take fall damage. So if I go into first person mode and go down to here, I take full damage. Okay, so that's regular mode. It's only you hold down the space bar and you fly, and when you let go you stop flying. The other mode is hover mode, which constantly uses hydrogen, as you can see there, but basically it's space to go up, shift to go down, and you can just wander around. Now you'll notice that my Sojourner's sash doesn't work while I'm flying. Unfortunately, I was kind of hoping it would, and in fact even when I'm on the ground in hover mode it doesn't work. As soon as I disable it, I get my movement boost back. So I think most of the time I will be using it in disabled mode, but occasionally I will go into hover mode and do something like this when I need to fly over something. Now I don't know if there are any I don't know if there are any modifiers that you can put on this to make you fly faster. I'm going to look into that, but generally speaking I am very happy with my purchase. This is the first time I've ever made a jetpack on a mod pack, and I am pretty happy with the results, I've got to say. So, bit of a shorter video this time, but that's us for today. We've made our jetpack. Let's go into our clipboard here. Made the jetpack, made the electrolytic converter, and that's us for the day. Until then, you keep doing what you're doing. I might go down and grab that slime, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.